Hello, and welcome to The Kosh. I'm your host, Timber Smith, and The Kosh is a podcast that spotlights people who've had an association with the Kosh or the surrounding Fox Cities area. Kosh listeners, how are we doing this morning? Once again, it is an amazing day. It is Christmas Eve. I just want to share that as you kind of have a time reference frame. So yeah, I'm literally recording a episode on Christmas Eve, which my wife totally gave me the business about. Like, seriously, Timber, you're gonna record an episode on Christmas Eve? And I was like, if you'll let me. And she did. So that is fantastic. And baby, I love you. So, and that's my forgiveness. I love you. So forgive me. All right. I know some people have feelings about this Christmas Eve because it's not a white Christmas so far, and it's not looking that way. But once again, I'm not mad about it. I'm good with it. And, I like to think that in my 50 years of life, I've had a lot of white Christmases, and not having a couple of them, we're going to be okay. We're going to survive this. So, all you grumblers out there, ha! Ha ha! Yes. I'm good. All right. I'm just messing with y'all. Okay, so now on to the real business at hand. Kosh listeners. Okay, you already know. Do you know? I hope you know, because if you don't know, you're about to know. And what that means is that I don't know how I continue to get these amazing guests. And this week, no doubt, is no different. I'm super excited about this. This particular guest walked in the house with a bag full of yummies. And I'm that dude. I'm bribable. I'm about that. There's food. Food wins. Food always wins. So, without further ado, this week's guest is Sarah Haberland. Did I get that right?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes, I practiced, y'all. See, this time I practiced. I've slaughtered a lot of names over a lot of episodes.
Names are hard.
Names are not easy. All right, Sarah, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm glad it's Christmas Eve and, it's, 40 degrees, so you can get your presents out of your car tomorrow without freezing your hands off, so that's good.
Is it 40? I don't know what it is right now. I'm just assuming, it looks nice. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have to take Bosco for the poop walk this morning, so I'm not quite sure. But I get the feeling it's not that bad. Mm-hmm. It's not below zero.
No, there's no negative in front of the number today.
Yes. I see you're like me. Are you a winter person?
I don't mind it. I don't know. The older I get, the more I like fall. Although I miss the being light out until 9 o'clock at night. Because right now at 6 p.m. it feels like 9:30.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I'm with you too. If I can, I like that longer day in heat.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my favorites. So I don't know. There was this discussion that they were going to get rid of time. What was that? Daylight savings. Did you hear anything about that?
I feel like they talk about it every couple years and then they never change it. I mean, I don't know. Who wants? I don't know.
Change is hard.
Yeah.
And, for whatever reasons, from what I've read, the reasons why we do it don't apply necessarily anymore. And that even though it's only this hour shift, it's hard on people,
mm-hmm.
that hour shift. So people were really trying to figure out what is the need for it and why don't we just stick with one or the other? And then my question would be if we did do that, which one would we stick with?
Dun, dun, dun. I don't know.
Right.
I think, because it used to be, I thought, agriculturally based or something.
Mm-hmm.
And now, we're not really, it's not the main thing anymore. So,
yeah, I guess if we're going to stick with the one, I want to stick with the one that makes summer longer. Or the day in summer longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though that's probably going to make for some pretty long, dark days in the winter.
Yeah.
But sacrifice.
Yeah, true.
So far, nothing we got to worry about because it does not sound like that's happening. Okay, Sarah, you ready to jump in?
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah, can you please tell us a little something about yourself and your connection to the Kosh or the surrounding Fox Cities area?
Sure. I grew up in the Western Pierre area, and I've lived in Northeast Wisconsin my whole life. And I have created a couple businesses in the last few years, and through networking, I've met some people that have been on your podcast. So they told me about it, and I listened to several episodes and thought it was really cool. So here I am.
Look at that. That's kind of fantastic. Okay. And when you say you've lived in the region your whole life, where are those spaces?
Grew up in West Superior, moved to Kewanee for high school. Kewanee is really small. When I got done with high school, I moved to Green Bay. And then I met my husband, lived in Two Rivers for a while, and now we live...
Bruh. Only because you called it Two Rivers. And I feel like if you're really from there, don't you just call it Trivers?
I think a lot of people do, yeah. But now we live like halfway between Green Bay and Manitowoc. So we live out in the country, which is really nice.
Oh, okay. That's cool. And upon you sitting down and you getting opportunity to meet Bosco the podcast dog, you showed me some very interesting pets you have.
Yeah, we have two naughty pygmy goats, Biscuit and Brownie, and they're a lot like dogs. We put leashes on them and we take them for walks. We take them for walks to the woods, and we have like fallen trees in the woods, and we'll like walk on the balance beam with the goats in the woods, and they're really funny.
Have you ever had dogs?
I didn't growing up. My husband did have dogs because he lived in the country, but they are a lot like dogs.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, what do you think the primary similarities are and differences are between having some goats or some dogs? To me, I would be about that goat life. That seems very interesting. Other than if they poop like they do at the zoo, then that's a lot of pooping.
It's way less challenging, I would say, than dog poop, but they do follow you around like dogs. Like we'll walk to the woods and they'll follow us as long as they can see us. If we go out of sight, then they'll run to catch up, but like they'll take their time and like stop and eat leaves. You'd think we never fed them, but they're funny. They follow you around and they like treats. I buy them frosted mini wheats from Aldi. They get a lot of treats. I made minestrone yesterday, and they get the ends of the zucchini. They get the carrot peels. They get the ends of the carrots. They get all that stuff. So I joke, like, the better I eat, the better they eat, because they love sweet potato peels and all that random stuff.
I love that. Okay, that's kind of cool. What made you get goats?
Really long time ago, I was making sugar cookies, and I dropped the tray. Like, I went to grab the hot tray, and I dropped all the sugar cookies on the ground, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to throw these away. And we weren't married at the time, but my husband's mom had goats, and I was like, would your mom's goats eat these sugar cookies, because they fell on the floor? And he was like, yeah. And I gave them the sugar cookies, and they loved them, and I just like feeding them. And they're funny, and I don't know, they're just so cute. They always look like they're smiling. So about 4 years ago, we got the goats.
So, and look, I'm fascinated. I'm asking you all these questions because maybe I'm going to try to talk my wife into a goat, which she's definitely going to put a strong no to. But nonetheless, I need to have my stuff in order. So
research the pet, yeah.
So I can be like, hey. So do you keep them in the house?
No, they have. We live in the country, so there's kind of like a old concrete building, and my husband made them like a goat condo. So they have like a room, and they can go outside, and they've got like planks they can walk on.
Bruh. Did you say goat condo?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. They're spoiled, yeah.
That's so fantastic. I love it. Okay. All right. You said you got some businesses. Mm-hmm. Do you mind sharing with us a little bit about those, or what do you do?
Yeah, so I am trying to get out of corporate America. So I created two businesses. One is called Veg Out with Sarah, and I make whole food, plant-based food that doesn't taste like garbage, so it's healthy. And I do cooking classes at a local wellness center in Green Bay. It's 9th Street Wellness. And then the other one is life coaching. So I have a coaching business called Imagine That Coaching. And I would like to help people get unstuck and get from point A to point B, and want to help empower people. And that's why I got interested in coaching.
Okay. When you say you wanted to get out of corporate America, what were you doing before?
So I've been in auto and home insurance for just shy of 20 years.
I did that.
Did you?
Yeah, property casualty.
Really?
Yeah, most definitely.
Were you in claims?
No.
Okay.
No. I was selling.
Okay.
Yeah, AAA.
Yeah.
Captive agent.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it pays the bills. But I would like to do something where I can help other people a little bit more and have a little bit more autonomy and so on. So that means being self-employed. At some point.
At some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're on the journey. How long have you been on the? You've done these businesses, and why did you decide to start two?
Well, a couple years ago, my husband and I watched a documentary, and it was called What the Health, and it was just kind of about like food and all this, just the way that food is made and like nutrition and our bodies and that kind of stuff. So basically we were like, maybe we should go vegetarian. And so I went like mostly vegan and my husband is vegetarian. And just, I felt better. And I was like, how can I share this with other people in a way that's empowering? So I thought, I'll make food for people, because as evidenced with the goats, I like to feed people, right?
Ooh.
And
we're gonna remain friends after this episode.
You got to try the snacks.
I'm in.
But yeah, and then I just was interested in coaching because there were so many things that I thought in my life were for other people, like, college is for other people, and like just there were a lot of limiting beliefs that I had, and just learning to kind of change those thought processes. Like that's part of coaching, but also having somebody there to help empower you and ask you the right questions. And just, I really want to help other people empower themselves and get where they want to get to. Like the older I get, the more important I feel it is to just be helping people as much as I can, helping them on their journey. Like life is hard.
Are you coaching anyone right now?
I am coaching a couple people, but I do need to get some more clients.
So there's opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I'm fascinated by the coaching thing. I tend to, I get the opportunity to mentor some people. I won't say a lot of people, but just some people, and it kind of goes in pockets, right? Like we talk over some stuff, we go there, they go out there, they handle some business. I might not hear from them for a while, and then they come back, and then we go back and we reevaluate how things are going, and we figure out what the next steps are. We strategize and stuff like that. So I don't know if that qualifies as coaching, but it feels, by my assumption of what it might be, it might feel like it's similar. Mm-hmm. So how did you what made you feel like you're the coach, like you should be helping people do that? And then, like, what are some of the things that typically happen in like that people bring to you as a coach?
I think the interest in it started, I guess, inspiration a long time ago. I've always been fascinated in people and psychology and why people do the things they do, and why people make certain choices and that kind of thing. I remember in high school I had a AP psychology course, and we learned about Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And on the bottom, you've got like food and shelter, and then there's like emotional needs and belonging and security and safety. I'm totally boggling it right now. But at the top is self-actualization. And it's like, to me, that meant like giving back, growth, like probably philanthropy, those kinds of things. And I was just amazed by that. And I was like, wow, that's like a place, like I would like to get there someday. And so I just think coaching is a way to like help other people get there. And it's coaching is, sometimes people will be like, oh, well, I want to get healthier, or I want to get more organized, or, I want to, improve my relationships, or get a different education, or switch careers, or something like that. And I'll tell people that I'm a coach, and they'll be like, oh, I need somebody to tell me what to do or whatever. And it's like, that's not what it is. It's, you want to fill in the blank, right? And then the coach is there to hold space for you to ask you the question so that you find the answers within yourself, and also to hold you accountable. So like, what's your next step to get you to that point? So that's a big piece of it.
I just think it's fascinating. And I think life coaches, like, I do think there's a good space for that. Because maybe, and I even think that it makes sense to me, because I think before the life coach may have been a best friend, but if your best friend ain't in a better space than you, then they can't be the coach.
Right. And I think if we want to do, like, if we are ever like, I want to do blank, whatever that is, normally what many of us have done, we ask our friends, we ask our family, we might ask our coworkers, and they all give us advice. How often do we take that advice? Right. Because it's not coming from us. If somebody tells you what to do, most of us, myself included, will find reasons why, like, that's not going to work for me. Because it's like, we have to come up with it.
That's true. There's got to be a part of it that comes from us. And then also, I just think that sometimes it's messenger matters, right? And so, like, it's like ignoring your parents. All right. So, even though your parents know you better than anyone on the planet, you just don't want to. Yeah, like, look, Mom, I'm not going to do that because you told me to do that.
Right.
Even though it might be the best thing to do. And I need a different messenger other than Mom. And I'm just saying, like, that's how I feel about it. So I think having the coach, and if that coach is a really good messenger, then I see the value in it.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, like, for me, like, I didn't think, my parents knew anything until I was at least 25, like, what
You and the rest of us.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay. Are you ready to jump into the next segment?
Sure.
Okay, the next segment is what in the world is going on with? And this is where you start with the phrase, what in the world? And then you tell us what's on your mind. So, Sarah, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I am having some trouble getting coaching clients. So I need 100 hours of coaching to get certified. I'm at about 65 hours of coaching. So we'll put a link in the show notes if people want to get free coaching. I'll be doing like 3 free sessions on Zoom in exchange for a testimonial that I can put on my website. So,
oh, totally.
Yeah.
Done. That can happen.
Cool.
Yeah. And gosh, listeners, let's do this. Hey, maybe I will do it too.
Cool.
That's part of getting certified, huh?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to bring you back to what in the world is going on with. So, once again, what in the world is going on with? You start with the phrase, what in the world? And then you tell us what's on your mind. So, Sarah.
Yeah, I am going with Porch Pirates.
Yes.
What's going on with that?
Facts. Let's go.
They said on the news that like 1 out of 4 people has had a package stolen. And I think that's really disappointing because I could understand if it was like something that somebody needed, like if somebody stole my groceries or something, I would probably be like, I guess they needed groceries. You know what I mean? But like, you don't know what's in the box. I live in the country, so I don't have to deal with the porch pirate thing, but you see it on the news all the time. And these people like are just going to get stuff. And I just think it's It's disappointing because it's, if you wouldn't want someone to steal your package, why are you stealing someone's package? I don't know. It's just kind of a bummer.
Facts.
Bruh.
I'm all about that. The porch pirate thing. Look, don't be rolling up on my crib taking my Amazon. You know what I'm saying? That ain't cool. That's a violation. It's a huge violation. Like, because and that's bold for you people to just roll up on people and just snatch stuff. Like, but I don't even know why people would want to do that anymore because cameras are everywhere.
Well, yeah, and you don't know you're getting something quote unquote good. I mean, it could be like parchment paper or like,
Right.
You
could go to jail for like a really heavy box of puppy chow.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, for real. Like, you don't know what's in that box. It could be a box of toilet paper. And then all of a sudden you've got the cops looking for you. It's a really roll of the dice. I mean, normally if you're going to thieve things, you know what you're thieving. And thieving is horrible, but blind thieving is even worse.
Yeah. Just not a great way to spend your time.
1 out of 4.
That's what they said. Yeah. I think like 2 nights ago on the news. That's pretty up there. And can you imagine how many people probably don't report it too?
Oh, yeah. I can imagine, but I just feel like there's rings everywhere. So, like, if you're rolling around, you don't have to necessarily, the house that you're stealing from doesn't have to have a camera. The house across the street might have the camera, or the house next door might have the camera, because, like, it's all network now. So, like, when they go to look for something, they can pull a whole network of video. And that's just a horrible way to go down.
Yeah, that's true. Because the range is pretty big for some of those cameras. So like you could see like maybe 3 of your neighbors' porches, depending on like what the pan is set at or whatever.
Right. And then they can like literally, like with Ring, you can share. So like you share your video, or law enforcement can come and ask you to share your video. They can go and figure out, everybody's got a Ring on your block, and they literally can watch your car and follow it down the block and have the whole thing put the piece together. And I don't know if people are always thinking about that. So like, don't sleep on it. There's a lot of cams out here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like break out the inner Nancy Drew, piece together all that Ring camera.
It's not that hard anymore.
Yeah.
Like really, it's literally a button click or a mouse click, and boom. And then it's a wrap. And once again, for blind thievery, like you don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of, I don't know. I just don't think it's smart.
Agreed.
All right. I like that one because, I'm not going to lie. I would be super hot if somebody pulled the porch pirate thing on me. But I'm going to tell you right now, you would definitely be on cam because I'm cammed up. So just putting that out there. All right. So my what in the world is going on with isn't necessarily a what in the world is going on with, but instead, Kosh listeners, this week I'm going to take a very different approach, and that approach is this. I want to know how people feel about regifting. Like, I think this is a hot topic for this time of year. How do people feel about regifting? Now, me, I'm all about the regifting because let's be honest. The one thing that happens sometimes at Christmas is people give you gifts just for the sake of giving you gifts. They're not gifts you're ever going to use. They're not gifts that you know what to do with. They're not gifts that fit your lifestyle, but it's a gift of thoughtfulness, caring, appreciation, one of the many other reasons. But if it's something I'm never going to use, and I know somebody who's totally going to use it, is it okay to regift that to a space that's way more appropriate? Now, what says you, Sarah?
I think it's okay. I mean, we didn't grow up with a lot. So it was like, you don't waste stuff and you don't throw away good stuff, like if you got I don't know, like a vase or something that you're never going to use and you're like, oh, this is quirky. My friend so-and-so would like this. Give it to your friend. Who cares?
I don't care. I am all for the regifting. Like I'm a, and here's the thing. If I give you something and you regift it, I'm not mad at you for it because maybe it wasn't the right thing. And if you know somebody better, go ahead and regift the gift. Because to me, I really do take the thing of once I give it to you, it's yours. So you do what you need to do with it that you think is appropriate. Just know the sentiment behind it when I gave it to you, right? But I know other people who are very much like they would be hurt by you regifting. They would rather you give it back to them than you gift it elsewhere.
I get that, but it seems kind of controlling, to be like, you can have this, but only if you can I'm giving you this sweater, but only if you wear it every single time I see you or something. People put a lot of thought into gifts sometimes, so I can see where that comes from. But I think we can attach like our ego to the gift, and I don't think that that's helpful.
Ooh,
bruh.
I think that's it. I think what you just said, that is powerful. When you can, and I do think sometimes people attach an ego to the gift, and that's where too many feelings are involved. That's just my assumption. But what you just said there, I've never thought of it that way. That's so well put. Yeah. You got to give the gift without ego. You got to give the gift as a gift.
Right. Yeah, which means, like you said, you do whatever you want with this. I'm giving you this because I hope you like it.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. And I hope you enjoy it. And if you don't,
Yeah. If I look,
else.
and here's my thing. Like, if I run into you later and I'm like, hey, how'd you like the whatchamacallit? And you're like, oh, nah, I gave that to my aunt, my mom, whatever. They love it. That fit them better. I'm going to be like, oh, cool. Awesome. I'm glad somebody got to use it good, because if anything, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm just glad my dollars that I spent are being put to good use. However, that good use is utilized by humankind.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. So, have you ever regifted anything?
Yes, many times.
Bruh.
I love that. As a matter of fact, I have definitely regifted some things over time. Yeah. And it's just stuff. And here's what I regift. I don't regift it like right after the person gives it to me. It's when I find it again and realize I never used that. Brand new, sitting there, gift someone gave me. And then I'm thinking, this thing's brand new. I should do something with this. You know where some of that stuff ends up? The white elephant.
There you go.
You know about this.
Yeah.
Okay. You got any Christmas traditions?
No, not really. We don't.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah, y'all don't get together as family, do the white elephant thing?
We've done that a few times. My husband's family a few times has done like Christmas games. So like we've done like minute to win it stuff where you try and like stack a bunch of cups or like drop pipe cleaner candy canes onto like ribbon or something, and whoever like gets the most candy canes on the ribbon gets like a present or something. So yeah, I guess we do have like traditions where we try and do fun stuff. Yeah.
Okay. My favorite minute to win it is the cookie from the forehead into your mouth.
What?
Have you not seen this? No. It's fantastic. You put like an Oreo cookie on your forehead and you got to, without your hands, maneuver it down your face into your mouth.
I'm definitely looking that up on YouTube later.
There's videos. Did I just create your next great Christmas game?
Probably.
This has been, I want credit.
Absolutely.
All right. You ready for the next segment?
Mm-hmm.
Next segment is called 21 Questions. It is not 21 questions per se. We love the title 21 Questions, but it might lead to 21 answers because these are deep questions. Okay. Question 1. What are you grateful for?
Lots of stuff. I'm here. I'm healthy. I have an education, a job, a wonderful husband, 2 naughty goats, a lazy cat, and a couple hobbies. And yeah, that's,
Just that simple.
yeah.
Beautiful. What motivates you?
I think if somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm like, yeah, watch me. I'll do it. So if I get not really mad, but if I think somebody thinks I can't do something, then I'm more motivated to do it. So that's something.
What grounds you?
I have a good circle of family, friends, local entrepreneurs, meeting more and more of those all the time, which is nice. And also nature. I really like to go for walks and listen to podcasts. That really helps me kind of relax. I find that very relaxing.
What does success look like to you?
I think growth is a big part of success. Just continuing to do things that are uncomfortable, putting yourself out there, learning to suck at something new, as they say, just trying new stuff. That's important.
I like that. Learning to suck at something new. It's hard to be okay with being a rookie. I think it gets harder as you get older because I feel like there's so many other sectors of your life where you feel like you've kind of, I don't want to say you've mastered it, but you feel like you've got it under control. And then when you do something new and you're older, that's a harder learning curve.
It is. Yeah. And it's like you said, we get good at, a handful or probably more of things, right? And then trying to learn something new is like, it's very humbling, right? To learn something new and be like, oh, this is hard. And sometimes I'll be like, I'll say something to my husband and I'll be like, this is really hard. And he's like, well, yeah, if it was easy, everybody would do it. I'm like, oh, he's right. He's always right.
That there is one of those sayings that is so true, but you get angry at it every time someone says it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What does success look like to you?
I just think keep on learning, staying curious. I think those are really important things. And helping other people is very important because life is hard, and we all need help sometimes. So just kind of, growing and helping other people and meeting new people and staying curious. Those are all big pieces of that.
What irritates you?
I think having to think more about where stuff is coming from. I heard, and I don't know who said it, but I heard a phrase the other day, and it was, if you're hysterical, it's historical. And I just thought that was really interesting because I think we've all been in a situation where like something really bothered us or we overreacted, and it probably wasn't from that actual situation. Like that situation triggered something in us that made us like upset or whatever. So I think just staying curious about like why people are feeling a certain way or maybe why we're reacting a certain way. Just trying to figure out where that's coming from, so that we can be honest about why we're acting the way that we are in that moment.
What irritates you?
I think just people not being curious, and we're kind of in a place where people I think it's easy to be judgmental, and I think that that's disappointing because it's easy to like point fingers at other people instead of like ask us why we're being judgy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I don't think we know when we're being judgy often. Like, we often don't think it's judgy until someone says, that felt really judgy.
Right.
Like, I don't know. That's just my
Yeah. And I think you're right. But I think it's easy to be judgy, but it's harder and like slower to be introspective about why we're reacting in that judgy way.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think out of all of the different educational spaces we experience in our life, I don't think we find many that do a good job in training us to be introspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Self-reflective. To like, for you to do that, it's almost always something you've got to teach yourself, and it's something you've got to have self-realization about.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. And we learn so much about different topics, and it's like, okay, 2 + 2 is 4. And, you know, this is what photosynthesis is. And like, yeah, you need to know that stuff, but like, there's a lot of deeper things. And I think, you know, if you like go to a bookstore, you go to like Barnes and Noble, and, you know, you see like the self-help section. Like, I don't love that term. I like personal development better, but, like, they didn't write those books just for me. You know, they wrote like everybody's struggling with something. And so somebody writes that book to try and help, you know. And I think the pandemic kind of put a lot of those things into the forefront because it was a weird couple of years. And I don't mean to minimize that in any way, but I think we're talking more about difficult things and mental health and just connecting. And I think people are being more vulnerable and more real. So I think it's changing, which is good, but it's not going to happen overnight.
What scares you?
I think kind of growing back to the like growth thing, just like staying, like everyone gets stuck, but I think like staying stuck scares me and not putting myself out there, you know, because I don't want to be in the same place that I am right now, like 10 years from now.
Yeah, I worry about that. To try to always be be accepting of change and understanding like that growth is important. Yeah, I get that. What recharges your soul?
I think learning. I like to learn new things. I like to read. I like audiobooks, music, podcasts, books by people that are smarter than me, because I like to just keep learning new things and hearing new perspectives and considering new information, you know, and I like books that are read by the people that wrote them, like narrated by them, because then I just feel like they're talking to you, and it's so interesting to just learn from other more experienced people.
How do you define love?
That's a really hard question. I didn't know where to start with this, but I think knowing someone to the point that they bring out the best in you, and then you return the favor by returning or by, you know, bringing out the best in them, and not thinking of your relationship in like a scarcity mindset. Like if they succeed, I can't, or vice versa. And also just growing together and just complementing each other. So I think that's a big part of it. That's certainly not a full definition, but.
Most definitely. I don't know. I love this question. Well, I love this series of questions because it just shows like a very diverse swath of people's mindsets and experiences and how they approach life. Like there's something to that, to understand. Like I ask the same questions all the time, but just to hear how different people approach it is really, really cool.
Yeah. It's a very abstract question, so it's hard to pin that down.
But it's such but love is thrown around all the time, right? It's such a word that's utilized all the time for all sorts of things, for in all sorts of spaces, for all sorts of purposes. And like, I think it's to ask somebody to actually put words to defining it for what it means to them. I think there's a great opportunity of learning there.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of it's about connection, like connecting with other people, I think is a huge part of it. And, I feel like there's a big trend these days about like being authentic, which is kind of ironic considering like the nature of social media, right? Where everyone puts their highlight reel on there. But yeah, connection is a big part of love too.
No, you think that's what happens? They just put their highlight reel out there?
Yep.
Well, I'm just going to tell you now, since the Kosh doesn't edit, this is authentic. It is what it is. Boom. Nah, I'm just playing. All right. Next segment. Next segment is called Word Association. And word association is where I say a word and you tell us what comes to mind. And Sarah, I'm going to warn you already that I'm going to throw in some extra words.
Okay.
All right. Mm-hmm. We're going to go a little old school in this one. So these are words I used to use in the past. Okay. And the main reason is because you're making amazing time. So due to the fact that we're cruising along, I'm like, all right, I'm going to throw some extra curveballs in here. All right. First word, what I call the unifying word, the word that brings us all together. The word of happiness. And that word is food.
I love food. I don't eat a lot of sugar anymore because once I start eating sugar, I can't stop. So I eat a lot of dates, which is basically natural sugar. But I love like dates with peanut butter and then chocolate on top. But usually I do it the lazy way and I just dip the date in the peanut butter jar. Eat it that way.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Dates. Mm-hmm. Okay. I can't say that I've ever gone to a grocery store and saw that they have dates.
I brought you some of the chocolate peanut butter dates. So they taste like a Snickers bar and they have dates at Costco. So I'll send you a picture of what they look like in the bag and then you can get them next time you go if you can make it through the sample.
Okay. People. Well, look, I did a whole segment on samples at Costco and the fact that like, that is Costco. Going to Costco on the weekend and trying to get a sample is basically like the equivalent of Black Friday shopping.
Yeah, for a 2-inch square of pizza.
Yeah, that's it. But you know what? I bought those pizzas because of that 2-inch square. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. And now that I know that you brought them, Kosh listeners, I will give feedback on these peanut buttered dates. I'm excited about this. Okay. Cocktails or beer?
I would say like probably wine, like Chardonnay or something.
Okay. Yeah. I've got this relationship with wine that is just juice. And that's how I treat it. I don't put it in a wine glass. I put it in a glass.
Do you like red or white or both?
I like the fruitiest, sweetest wine I can get my paws on.
Okay.
I don't want no dry wine. No, it's juice.
Nothing wrong with that. There's lots of good sweet wine out there.
Yeah, well, I've had some, and it tastes like really good juice. So I'm about that life. Okay. Shop local.
I do a lot of shopping at Goodwill. I don't go to small businesses as much as I should. Because I just go to like Aldi and Costco, you know. But I did get some headshots recently from Ashley Gauthier from the Ash Tree. She did amazing photos, and I met her through a networking event. So that's my shop local.
Okay. That is fantastic. And I love Goodwilling. Like, that's my thing. Like, and when I Goodwill, I hit all the Goodwills. We've got a lot of Goodwills in this region. So, like, there's, like, 2 in Oshkosh. There's 1 in Neenah. There's, like, 2 in Appleton. And, like, there's 1 in Menasha. So, like, me and my wife, we'll just make a Goodwill day and hit them all. And there is some fantastic Goodwill finds.
Do you have a favorite thing, like, when you go that you're hoping for, or do you just keep an open mind?
I'll tell you what I typically buy. I actually buy almost all my dress shirts from the Goodwill, because here's the beauty of it. I can get a really top of the line name brand, like a Polo or a whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And then I just dry clean it. Yeah. And then it's new. Mm-hmm. So then I've got this shirt that might have cost, let's say $70 to $90 for $6 and maybe $3 if I catch it on a half price sale on the purple tag, and then I dry clean it for $3, and I just came up and I've got this amazing looking shirt.
Yeah, well, and it's why spend $90 if you don't have to? You know, that's just everything I'm wearing is from Goodwill except for my socks, I think.
The only thing I can't do Goodwill for is I can't do pants. And I just haven't had any luck with pants, because I've tried to buy pants from Goodwill, and I'll tell you where it goes awry for me as a man. All right, so I want to get either a dress pants or in the past, but now everything is jeans. Well, I don't know what that cut of jean is. And when you don't know what that cut of jean is, you don't know how that jean is going to fit. Mm-hmm. And I have had horror stories where I can buy the right measurements, you know, the right waist size and the right length in pants. But then when I get home and I find out it was a slim cut this, or it was a this cut that, or it was a straight flare boot cut, whatever. And then I'm like, oh my God, this is trash. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. You're like, do I put this on Facebook Marketplace or just put it in my Goodwill box?
I just give them back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even play around, because I'm just like, man. So that just made me understand pants is the one thing that I can't roll the dice with. Like, a shirt's a shirt. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But a pair of pants, there's a lot more that goes into pants and the different kind of cuts that they have.
Have you done the Goodwill outlet where you get like the stuff by the pound? Have you ever been there?
No, I know about it, but yeah, no, that ain't going to fly in this house.
No. Okay.
No. But have you done it?
Yeah. Usually I'm just looking for clothes, you know, and you know, you're not going to try it on or anything, obviously, but, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't fit, because it's like $1.29 a pound. So I'm like, well, if these, you know, corduroys don't fit, they probably cost me like $1.50. So who cares? Donate them back to Goodwill if they don't fit, you know?
Well, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I admire that. Okay, Goodwilling. That's something I can get down with. Streaming.
What have we been watching? We just finished something. We just watched a movie last night, and it was called Happiness for Beginners, and it was really good. It was just about this lady that went on a backpacking trip and like wanted to just kind of, you know, restart her life, and it was really good.
I want to give a shout out to all my Christmas movie lovers out there right now. It is prime Christmas movie time. I'm full-fledged in it. I'd like to think that I've seen at least 80% of all the Christmas movies out there, because I'm a sucker for it, and they make me happy. And so I just want to throw that out there. Big shout out to my fellow Christmas movie watchers. Concert.
So my first concert I won tickets on the radio for Hootie and the Blowfish, and my mom had to drive me because I was like 14, and her and my sister slept in the car, and me and my friend went and watched Hootie and the Blowfish, and then had a really hard time finding the car because it was at Alpine Valley, which is huge. But yeah, it was fun.
You know they're coming.
Like back to the area?
To Alpine Valley, Hootie and the Blowfish.
Really?
Yes, I just saw it across my Facebook stream yesterday.
Oh my God.
So Hootie and the Blowfish is coming back. Wow. Are you going to think about it?
I don't know. I mean, I liked it when I went. It was good. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm too old for concerts now.
What is...
Bruh.
What is that?
They're just so... Well, I guess it depends on the concert. So I'm gonna dial that back. Like, yeah, it depends on the concert. A more mellow concert I would totally go to, and I feel like Hootie and the Blowfish would be a mellow concert. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna Google that. I need to make a list of the stuff I have to Google later.
Those Hootie fans, I don't know. That's a rough crowd. And if Hootie's rough, then I'm not even going to get into Dave Matthews. You don't want those Dave Matthews fans. Those are problem makers. Them right there.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I tease. Okay. Community.
I think it's kind of what you make of it, like you have to, I think we think of community as like who's down the street or something, but it's a bigger network of people, and I think you can constantly redefine what community is, but it kind of goes back to just connecting with other people. I think that sounds really generic, but
no, that makes sense. Last word. Diversity.
This is such a hard one because I think of like, this is a really silly example, but like if you've ever seen somebody make like paper dolls, like you fold the paper and then you cut out like a paper doll and then you have like 3 paper dolls and they all look the same. And it's like diversity is the opposite of that, right? It's like having a bunch of different people and a bunch of different perspectives all working together and learning from each other. And it's not just all the same.
I think that's a really good definition with a really excellent visual. I like that.
Thanks.
Okay, next segment. The next segment is the Kosh Hidden Gems. And what that is your opportunity to share a hidden gem with us. It can be anything, and it can be something we all know, but maybe we don't know this one detail about it, or maybe it's something you don't think that everybody knows about. So, and it does not have to be in the Kosh. So what is your hidden gem?
I think I'm going to go with the 9th Street Wellness Center, which is in Green Bay. I do cooking classes there more in the fall, I think, when it's easier to get people to go. But they have a lot of different services. They have massage therapists. They have a counselor that works there. They've got classes on like connection. They've got feng shui classes. They've got all kinds of interesting things that people can go learn about and take classes on. And I just think that's a neat way to meet people. And I've met a lot of people through networking. I met Pat Haney through networking there, and he told me about your podcast. So that's going to be my hidden gem out of the Green Bay area.
Big shout out to Pat. Big shout out to Pat. All right. You ready for the next segment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know what? Before we jump into the next segment, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Did you know there are children in the Fox Valley in need of hearing aids?
but their parents struggle to provide them because of lack of insurance or high copays? I am Juliette Sturkins, audiologist and board member of Here in the Fox Cities, and proud that this small local nonprofit organization has helped fund hearing aids for some 30 kids. Your donation would help more children hear. Visit hereinthefoxcities.org to learn more and to see their smiles. Every child deserves to hear.
All right. Once again, I want to put this out there. Any nonprofits out there who would like an opportunity to have a commercial on the Kosh, please, I let you have these for free. So reach out to me at askthekosh@gmail.com and let's record one and let's get that in circulation. Okay. Now, it is my favorite segment of the Kosh, and that is story time. And story time is the opportunity for our guest to tell us a story. That's it. Nothing special. It's not about anything in particular. It's whatever story they want to share. So, Sarah, what do you got?
So, my husband and I have been together since 2005, and I think it was like our second date. We went to go see a movie, and I picked out the movie, and I feel bad if anyone loves this movie, but we went to see The Weatherman with Nicolas Cage, and I was like, oh yeah, Nicolas Cage is in it, and Michael Caine's in it. Like, it's got to be good, right? Because I like those actors, and it was terrible.
Bruh.
So my husband always teases me that he picks out better movies, and he does. I often pick out movies because I like, 2 or 3 people in it, and I'm like, well, that means my thought process is like, that means it's a good movie, but that is no guarantee that it's a good movie. So I've been picking out terrible movies for 18 years.
All right, you don't get off the hook that easy. I need more movies.
So, like, what was one that we watched? There was one called, I feel bad, like, naming the movies because people will be like, I love that movie. But we watched one called Killer Joe with Matthew McConaughey, and it's just terrible. Like, I think he's like a hitman or something. We only watched it the one time, but it was so bad. But that was like a really bad one. And like back to The Weatherman, like it's one of those movies where the whole movie, like it's painfully awkward just to watch it. Like it's one of those movies like where you're embarrassed for the people in the movie, and it's just painful to watch like the whole movie. So yeah, sometimes we'll watch a movie and we'll get done watching it, and my husband will be like, and who picked out that movie? And I'm like, yeah, you did. That was a good movie. I pick a good one sometimes, but I don't have the greatest track record when it comes to picking out movies.
What's the last good movie you picked?
I don't know. I can't think of one, which is terrible. I'm sure there is one, but I can't think of one.
All right. Me and my wife have an agreement that I just pick the movies. No, and I'll tell you why. It's not that my wife picks bad movies, even though the last movie she did pick, and she hasn't picked a movie. She hasn't really picked a movie in years. The last movie was the Barbie movie. And I was actually highly pleasantly surprised by how good the Barbie movie was to me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a really good movie, more or less. But the reason that I picked the movies is because she's going to fall asleep during it. So so her whole thing is what she doesn't want is for her to pick a movie, and then she falls asleep during it, and then I'm stuck because I'm going to finish the movie. Mm-hmm. Good, bad, or indifferent, I'm finishing the movie, and then when she wakes up, I'm going to go, that was a horrible movie, and you didn't even stay awake for it. So basically, she just writes off all her rights because look, there's very few movies that she has stayed up for. It's got to be a pretty hardcore action movie that's actually a good action movie for her to make it through. Otherwise, she's going. So her whole thing is you just picked a movie that way. When I crash, I have no guilt or I don't have any repercussions associated with it. So that's how it all goes down in the Smith household.
It's funny that you say the Barbie movie because we went to see the Barbie movie when it came out this summer, and I really didn't like it. I wanted to like it, but I don't know, like it. I guess the way they were advertising it, I thought it was going to be more substantial, but it's like a Barbie movie. I don't know why I thought that. I guess I can be a little like naive and idealistic sometimes, but it just seemed really, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It seemed like a lot of pounding over the head of stuff.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, there was some pounding over the head of stuff, and then there was some stuff that they kind of slipped in there, right? But I guess I just my expectations of it was really low. So there's nothing worse. Like, I feel like with a movie, you can go one or two ways and mess it up, where if you have really high expectations and then you're watching, you're like, oh. And then, but maybe it wasn't that bad. It was just that your expectations was really high. Mm-hmm. And then like that is, then there's the opposite way where you've got really low expectations and then you're like, oh, okay, that was decent. That wasn't that bad, And my example of that is Black Panther 2. So Black Panther 2, due to the fact that Black Panther 1 is, to me, the greatest Marvel movie ever made, and I loved Black Panther 1, I was geeked about Black Panther 2. And not that Black Panther 2 was not a good movie, but I was too geeked about it, where my bar was way too high for it. And then with the original Black Panther passing, I knew that there was going to be some changes and stuff like that. But that one hurt a little bit, that it wasn't better than what it was. It was decent. It was by far what I would call par for the course for a Marvel movie. But Black Panther, the original, to me, blew the whole Marvel movie thing out of the water. So I don't know. That's one of those things where I think expectations, that's it.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I had watched a lot of like the interviews and stuff, and I think they did a lot of good things. Like, the costumes were hilarious, and like it was pretty funny. Like overall, Ryan Gosling was hilarious as always. But yeah, I think that's a good point. As I had watched so many of like the trailers and the interviews and stuff that I had really high expectations. But yeah, that's a good point.
I wouldn't watch it twice.
I'm not going to watch it again.
Bruh.
Okay. All right. Well, now it's that time. Every single time. Love it, love it, love it. It is time for Topic of the Week. This is where our guest picks the topic of the week 99.9% of the time. And this week is no different. So, Sarah, what's our topic of the week?
I'm going to go with opposite of porch pirates. So I saw something on the news about a kid, and I don't remember what state it was in, but he was doing like a 4-H thing where they did like a present drive, and they collected like 64,000 presents or something, and then you could drive through like a building, and they had like a Santa and stuff, and then they had presents, and then the people could come up to the car and be like, oh, we have a 5-year-old or something, and then they would give them a present. And I thought that was really cool. So kind of like the opposite of the porch pirates. I thought that was neat.
Okay. Well, let's go. It's the topic of the week. What else would you like to say about that?
I just think it's nice to see other people helping when they can, you know, because it can be like a tough time of year for a lot of people. So it was interesting to see that it was like a kid that was doing it. I think he was like 14, but like he had been doing it for several years and it had been getting like bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's just so promising to see, because I think I don't know how kids do it these days. Like being a kid is hard enough. Like I cannot imagine being a kid and growing up with social media. And there's still good people out there, you know, and I just think that was really a really cool thing to see.
I think social media helps empower our kids more. You know, they get to learn a lot more. They have a lot more stuff at their fingertips. But I also think that if they choose, they can create a brand, a presence, reach. Like there's a lot to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. I want to dig a little bit more because there was something you said earlier that I want to go back and revisit, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else that you want to say about this topic of the week?
I think you make a good point, and I think like social media isn't like good or bad. I think it's a tool, you know, and it's like, how are you going to use that? So if you're going to use it to, like you said, create a brand and like make a difference and that kind of stuff, then it's a good thing.
Absolutely. And I love seeing young people just do positive things or to be empowered to do anything in some cases, as long as it's not harmful or negative, right? Because they're in places of growth, so they don't always know. But I think we got to give them the freedom to let them figure some of that out too. Okay. But I want to go back and revisit. And you mentioned, because I don't think we got to expand on this too much, that you need people so you can get certified for coaching.
Yes.
Let's visit that.
Okay.
What does that look like? What does that mean?
Yeah.
What is that like? Okay, because we have an ask out here for Kosh listeners. So what I'm doing is I'm asking the questions that they would want to know.
Yeah. So basically, I've done the coach training. So I've gotten the training for that. And then basically, you have to get 100 hours of coaching individual people. And then you take a test and then you get certified. And then that's what anybody wants to like hire you or something. And I've got about 65 hours of coaching. So I still need some. And so many of the hours have to be paid, but paid is not defined. So basically, I'll be looking for people to do some sessions. And what I'm going to throw out there is 3 free sessions. And then your payment for that session is a testimonial that I can put on my website. So it'll be a testimonial, 1 or 2 sentences. And if I can put like a first name, an initial, and then like either just like your city or your state or whatever.
Okay. Gosh, listeners, we just had a full-fledged microphone blow up. So we are going to restart this conversation, hopefully close to where we had left off at. Okay, and we were talking about that part of what you're doing. You need to get so many hours and compensated hours, but they don't define compensation. So there's ways that you're re-envisioning what compensation can mean, which can be some testimonials to make statements, a couple of sentences about that. Okay.
Yep. So I'll give Timber links so that he can put them in the show notes. But yeah, basically I'll be doing some free sessions, and they'll be preferably on Zoom, because I think it's easier to kind of have a conversation when you can see like visual reactions and stuff like that. But if somebody doesn't have access to internet, we can definitely do phone sessions. So I just want to kind of throw that out there and have that out there for people as an option. And coaching is, people ask like, what's the difference between coaching and therapy? And I mean, coaching is definitely not therapy. Difficult stuff can come up in coaching, but it's always like, how is that showing up for you now? You know, what can we do to get you past that? It is confidential, you know, the conversations are confidential, but it's definitely not therapy. It's about, like, coaching is always about moving forward, whereas sometimes therapy can be like, you know, looking backward. But just that's kind of a quick synopsis of the difference.
Here's my thing. I think people sometimes are like, they think about it, right? They're on the fence. They're like, I don't know if, you know, I think I could use a life coach. Like, it sounds cool. Like, I feel like it would be nice, something nice to have, but I'm not quite sure. So I think it would be great sometimes if we understand who are the people that come to you, who are people that get life coaching. Yeah, like, if I can envision it, like, oh, okay, that sounds like me. Right? Or oh, okay, that's what that is. I could do that. I could use that.
I would say anybody that feels stuck, like anybody that needs help getting unstuck, or if you need, you know, if you've got some type of goal or obstacle that you're just not prioritizing, or you have a change that you want to make. So I don't want to give you a generic answer like anybody, but like, I think anybody could use the services of a coach, because it's just trying to help you get from point A to point B. I've had people that were looking to change like occupations, or, you know, go back to school, get more organized, people that want to get, you know, make healthier habits. And there's no, you know, the coach doesn't have the answers. They're not going to give you advice. They're there to hold space for you and ask you the questions so that you find the answers within you, and then also hold you accountable. So then, you know, at the end of the coaching session, the coach would ask, like, what's your next action step, so that you can get closer to the goal. It's not, you know, telling you what you're going to do next. It's asking them to find the answer within themselves. And I think that's the really important thing.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. What does a session look like? Because you've mentioned, you know, like you're right now, you do 3 free sessions. What does a session look like? And I noticed you also mentioned, you know, there's multiple ways to interact. You have a virtual option, it sounds like, a phone option. I don't know if you do in person at all. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, good question. So, because I do have a, you know, 9 to 5 job, like Monday through Friday, I am doing virtual sessions. So on Zoom, I've got the premium Zoom, so we won't get kicked off after 40 minutes. So it would be like an hour session. The first couple minutes are just kind of like, you know, letting people know this is a safe space, this is confidential, this is your session. We're going to talk about what you want to talk about. With that being said, coaching, you know, your goal can change from session to session. If something comes up and you want to like switch tack, that's totally fine. The person is driving the bus, but it should be probably about 80% of the person getting coached doing the talking, and then like 20% me asking, you know, questions to get, you know, more in depth and kind of see where they're headed. And then probably like the last 10 minutes are just kind of wrapping it up and asking, you know, what is your next action step going to be to get you closer to that goal that you want? And then just kind of setting up the next appointment. So just kind of 1 hour, just digging deep to try and find out where that person wants to go, and maybe why too, and see if that's really what they want, or if that's, you know, where's the motivation for that coming from.
Do you have any success stories you can share? Or are we still very much in progress? Which I understand it's a newer business,
Yeah.
but that does not mean that there's not a success story out there.
Yeah, I do have a few clients that have made some changes with their job situation. So yeah, and pretty big changes as far as like changing careers. And that's, I just want to be pretty vague.
I understand you confidentiality. So I'm not trying to dig in that deep, but just a connection point of I'm big on stories because I just think that's it's the connection point for all of us. Like if we don't remember anything, if someone tells us a good story, it's something you take away, and sometimes you're even able to share it with the next person without slaughtering it too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say still kind of work in progress on that, but.
Okay. Fair enough. Any last words or any last things you want to share about either topic of the week before we move on?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Kosh listeners, we're going to start wrapping up this episode. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for giving us your minds and ears. Thank you for being interested in another amazing guest and how they connect with our community, how they add value to our community. Once again, we are a work in progress. Please feel free, reach out to us, whether you want to be a guest or if you would like to recommend a guest, or if you know any ways or you have any ideas and ways we can improve this podcast. We are open to it. I answer all emails personally myself, so know that you will get a response if you reach out to us. And how do you reach out to us? That is at askthekosh@gmail.com. Once again, that is askthekosh@gmail.com. And then, Kosh listeners, as always, I have one more other request right now, and that is help us help others learn about the Kosh. And you're asking, well, how do I do that? Well, first of all, you could share the Kosh when you find it online. You can also mention it to your friends and family who are in this region. But even more so, if you just want to take a real easy way to do it, while you're listening to the Kosh, hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button and then take a little time and leave us a review. What that does is it improves our analytics and it makes the Kosh show up in more searches, and so more people are able to find us. So then more people can also learn about these great individuals we have in our community. Okay. Now, on to the real business at hand. It is shout out time. Okay. Sarah, who do you got for shout outs?
Well, the 9th Street Wellness Center in Green Bay, they do a monthly networking session for our local entrepreneurs, and they have lots of cool services at their location. And then Pat Haney with 6P Solutions, he told me about your podcast. And then also Ashley Crumplich from Centered Up Marketing. She was on your podcast recently too, and she does a great job of marketing local businesses.
Big shout out to Ashley. She's huge. And super helpful. She is definitely helping with some things. Okay. My shout outs. I'm going to keep shout outs super simple today, because it's Christmas Eve. So I want to send a shout out to all the kiddos who are waiting, to open those gifts. I feel that, like, I still remember the excitement of Christmas Eve and how I couldn't wait till the next day. And like, yeah, it was about that. Like the one smart thing, one of the most brilliant things I've ever heard was from the Christmas movie or the Christmas Story movie, right? And the Christmas Story says, the entire kid's calendar circles around Christmas. And I do believe that. Christmas and birthdays, right? And since I have a December birthday and I get cheated all the time on that, I'm just going to say that it was all about Christmas because most of my birthday presents were looped in with Christmas anyway. So I'm just going to say my kid's calendar circled around Christmas. So I want to send a huge shout out to all kiddos out there waiting to open those presents. I feel you. Send a shout out to all families who are getting an opportunity to spend time with each other today. Like, it feels good. My baby girl is coming home, boo, and with her fiance. I'm always excited when my baby girl comes home. Makes me super happy. And then we get to go out and visit some other family members, and then I get to go. I want to go holler at my parents. So I just feel like super blessed, and just want to send a shout out to everyone. And then a big shout out to all of those who don't necessarily get off for these holidays, to our first responders, to our retail workers, whoever you are out there and you still grinding during these holidays. I respect you. I appreciate you. I've been you. And you just get a huge shout out because not all of us get this time off to ourselves. Okay. I think that's good for this 2023 Christmas Eve day. And there's one thing left for us to do, Sarah. And that is this. You get 3 choices. Choice 1, some words of wisdom for the Kosh listeners out here. Choice 2, tell us, what would yourself today tell your 13-year-old self? And then choice C, much like most good multiple choice tests, we must give you an all of the above. So you get the opportunity to do both. So I'm looking forward to it. What do you got?
I think if I were going to tell my 13-year-old self something, it would just be like, everything is going to be fine, because I think at that age, it's a really tough age and it's so challenging. And I think, like, for me, I tend to ruminate and I tend to worry a little bit. And I would have never believed, like, if I would have told myself at 13, like, oh, you'll be like happily married and you'll finish school and everything will be fine. I think my head would have blown up,
That's fair. Okay. All right. What did you think?
It's fun.
It's the Kosh. Thanks for being on.
Thanks.
Till next time.